Day one of Eurovision 2016 rehearsals is now over. 9 countries rehearsed, and it's time for us to go around and tell you who our winners and losers are. Porrig, why don't you kick us off with your number one?
My number one is a surprise for me, and it's Armenia, because coming into it I was very worried that it would be a hot mess because the song is so different and avant-garde that I was worried that the staging could cheapen it, but the staging, it's just so expensive and everything has been thought down right down to the last detail, from the lighting to the colours of the lights to Ivetta's outfit, even her hair, her makeup. Everything was just perfect and her vocals were on point, and she gave us, I think, a final worthy performance, because a lot of singers today, they were holding back and they were being very careful and restrained. But Ivetta went all out. Like at one point she went so got so stuck into the performance that she like hurt her neck or something and she'd pause for a few minutes. But yeah, everything about it just screamed top 5.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you. This is also my number one from today. All these hours later, it still lingers on the mind. It's the act I'm still talking about. It's the first act, and really the only act where I've said that is already ready to win. Like, you don't need to change anything. She's got it. Vocally, fantastic. The song is experimental, but her voice is so mainstream because it has that rock, that grit. I love that combination. And the staging, OMG. The first, 40 seconds leading to that sonic boom, we've said this many times, that's the most dramatic opening of any Eurovision song, potentially ever. And visually, they've made it even more dramatic because pyrotechnics start going off, fireworks. We actually started laughing in the press center because we were like, can this get any better? And then on that take, it did. I think hat off to Armenia, hat off to Ivetta. They have really brought their A game. And I think they would be a deserving winner if they do win.
100%. Armenia is my favourite of the day as well. Yeah, everything you just said I'm in complete agreement with. I was sitting here watching it and it took almost every fibre of my being not to stand up and scream because it was so good. I was literally sitting there and I had goosebumps all over my arms, and that doesn't happen very often in Eurovision, and that's just me sitting here watching a big screen with a giant watermark over it saying, you can't film this. But it was an absolute standout. I didn't really rate the song before coming here, and now it's completely at the top of my list now. It's definitely one to watch, and I definitely think it will do very well.
And it's not just rare for Eurovision, it's rare for music anywhere. I can't remember the last time I went to a concert and had that kind of feeling. Ivetta, you slay. Now, who is your runner-up for the day?
My runner-up would have to be Russia. And it's also my loser for the day, I'm going to say that, because I think it was the second best song, but it came in with such high expectations that I was expecting perfection, because everything Sergei does is just so, I don't know what's the proper word, not quite manufactured, but everything is so carefully thought out, and he's so methodical about everything, that the staging then seemed nearly amateurish. It was really expensive, but it was nearly like a child would like go into a sweet shop and pull all these sweets out saying, I want this, I want this, I want this. And it's as if his staging people were like, oh, we want the wings, we want the bricks that pop out of the wall, we want him doing stuff on the floor, we want him on top of the box. And they just went a bit too crazy. But in a way, it still doesn't take away too much from the song, because you're not going to forget that song. You're going to remember the Russian song with the crazy staging. But yeah, it's still my second favourite, but I'm disappointed that they weren't a bit more restrained.
Now, we just interviewed Sergei a few seconds ago, and he talked about, the performance is building and building, and obviously when you're doing such a huge production, it takes time, hence the slip. They were actually testing fabrics of the LED screen. There were complications such as that. But for the second rehearsal, they will sort this out. All of this to say, I'm in a similar position as you. I think that this didn't meet my expectations in some ways because of it being very crowded. There's so much going on in that performance. You could almost take out a few elements. Coco Chanel, she said when you leave the house, take something off, and you could almost apply that here. However, I'm going to put a big caveat. I think that when he perfects what he has crammed in, this is going to be amazing, and he could still contend after that. It is my number 2, and that's because I love the song, I love his charisma. I think visually, people who did not see the music video, and that is most Eurovision voters, they will see this live performance, and they will lose their shit.
Absolutely. Russia is my number 2 for the day as well. I think as Eurovision fans, we all had very high expectations of Sergei. He's a big artist in Russia. He has a good team behind him with a lot of money behind him as well. His video sort of gave an impression that we would be expecting a lot, and today we almost got too much. The stage was very busy, even though he was sort of the only one on it for most of the song. In saying that, now's a good time to get this sort of feedback, because this is the time where they can edit, and Russia will take feedback on board, and they will tweak things because they want to win, and they have every ability to win. But after the performance today, I would rank it my second.
Yeah, we say this a lot, but edit, it's a 4-letter word, but it is not dirty. Now, it is time to reveal our number 3, Borig.
My number 3 is probably the Netherlands, in that they had a simple song and they kept the staging simple to reflect that. And it's not the Netherlands' best staging, it's nowhere near the common limits, but it is definitely not a repeat of Train Crash from last year. And I just liked the way they'd done the colours. It's about slow down, he's standing on a clock. The colours kind of, they added depth to the stage, whereas a lot of them, the LED was very flat, so his had dimension and depth, and it seemed 3D. And even just his interaction with the crowd, it seemed a bit sterile when all he was singing to was a few cardboard cutouts, but like when the crowd get in touch or interact with him, it will stand out. And even he has a few winks to cameras and stuff. The only awkward point I have with it is that he starts off and he's strumming the guitar, and then he goes and he walks down the catwalk and he puts the guitar on his back, but the guitar is still magically playing in the background. But yeah, it would be my number 3 from today.
That's how good he is. He can play it without even holding it. And what about you, Josh?
My number 3 is also the Netherlands today. It was almost Croatia, but I would give the Netherlands a bit more of a lead because the staging was memorable.
Yeah.
The first thing you see is the camera panning over Dawa and his band, and you do see the big stopwatch on the LED floor, and it does look effective, and it suits the mood of the song. The staging suits the mood of the song. It's very vintage, but without being dated, which I thought was really good. His voice was flawless. There was nothing wrong on that front. But again, as I said before with Russia, there just needs to be some fine-tuning to make this a guaranteed qualifier, where as for now, I'm sitting more on borderline.
You know, I've never been a fan of this song, but even as a hater, I have to say his staging elevates this. This is very, very good. The floor is fantastic, that kind of stopwatch clock thing. I just wish the LEDs on the walls were as, impactful, had as much power. That's not down to him, that's down to SVT, and I think they will improve upon that for the next rehearsal. He's not my number 3. My number 3 is actually Croatia, and I'm torn about this because in some ways she was my loser because it didn't live up to expectations, but then during our interview she told me that the dress is not complete. There's a surprise. She's going to reveal this top. There's going to be some kind of feather wonder thing underneath it. She's going to be not the lighthouse, but the source of light, kind of lighting up the stage, and I think that's going to be so different from everything else, because I think a lot of acts, the light is coming from the outside, but the light is going to come from her. It's certainly coming from her voice. She is amazing, so I think we cannot count her out just yet. Now, we need to wrap this up, but I want to ask you, who is your biggest loser of the day, or who finished last?
Yeah, well, see, there's a difference between the biggest loser and my least favourite. And as I said, Russia was probably my biggest loser, so I'm going to give you my second biggest loser, which I think is Croatia. And the thing is that she's trying to be different. She has such different staging. But then when you compare it to Iveta's staging, it's just not in the same league at all. And like, the song itself, I've never really got the buzz surrounding it, and I've never been a fan, and I've appreciated her voice. Her voice is very different, and I think she deserves a stronger song. The song just doesn't cut it for me, and it needed the staging to elevate it, and the staging is just too weird, because the song isn't a weird song. It's a very run-of-the-mill, easy listening song that you would hear on the radio, and then she's there in this kind of armour, and it's ripped off, and it's really dark staging. I don't get it at all. Even if the dress lights up, I just think it's too weird to go with the song, because Iveta has a weird song, the weird staging matches it. Weird song, safe song, weird staging, doesn't work.
Josh?
I think going into today, I expected my biggest loser to be San Marino, but it actually wasn't. I would give it to Finland. Sanja's maybe the most likable personality that I've come across today, because she's so bubbly. She's really grateful to be here. I'm sitting quite a distance away from the interview areas, but I could hear her laughing from where I was sitting. So my hat's off to her for that. But I think there was something missing from her performance today that didn't stand out in my memory, and performing first is going to be a hindrance as well, in combination with that as well. Her voice was not the best I've heard it. The backing vocalists seemed a little lost, so maybe they just, again, they need to fine-tune what they're doing and maybe it'll improve, but yeah, it was a bit of a letdown for me.
Listen, the problem with Finland is not Sandhya. Vocals, 10. Performance, power, 10. She was holding back today. Song, it's quite good. It's been growing on me. I think the problem is that the camera angles SVT have chosen, it's making the stage too big and she's disappearing. If they could make it a little tighter, focus more on her face, her expressions, her movement, I think this would be so much stronger. Because everything else is there. The dancers are great. I think the costuming is great. It's just the camera angles, and that's not down to her. That's down to her team and SVT. Because yeah, this song has been growing so much in my mind. I wanted it to be like bam, but then when I saw the staging, it was like, oh, this is good, but it's not my winner. I don't want to call anyone a loser. I don't have a biggest loser today.
No.
I will say this: Moldova and Hungary both surprised me. Pleasantly.
Yeah.
I think they both elevated in my book. But when I have to sit down and think about, who do I remember, I don't actually remember Hungary, which is a shame. Because I know it's better, but I'm trying to remember why. And I think Red Lava, but that's all I can say.
Yeah. And then with Moldova, they have the crazy, but I'm kind of thinking, if you have one astronaut, why not have 5?
Yeah, if you're going to go more, then go even more.
Take us to the moon. Can we book a flight?
Yeah, Moldova, again, improved for me today. Lydia's voices improved so much since the Moldova national final. Hungary I actually missed because I was in press conferences filming while he was rehearsing, so I'm looking forward to seeing that in a few days' time. But other than that, I think overall, the whole day has been a lot better than I was expecting.
Who was your winner on day 1 of rehearsals? You can let us know on our website, wiwibloggs.com, by voting in our poll, and then you can sound off here on our YouTube channel, wiwibloggs.
And make sure to hit subscribe.
And while you're at it, give us a like.
See you later.
Bye.